Have a quick statement and then feel free to ask questions. And if you can, just keep your mics on mute till he calls on you. Coach?
Okay, it's a little different. Good to see everybody, I guess, but I'm talking to an empty room, so it's kind of funny. We were coming off a tough loss at Utah State. It was a really hard-fought game. I thought our team did a great job of handling some of the elements because it was cold, and then also playing good football and just not making enough plays at the end there to finish it was disappointing. I think Blake Anderson does a great job coaching that team, and they did a great job executing when they had to. So credit to them. Since Sunday morning, we've now turned our efforts towards Hawaii. This is a dangerous football team. I think when you watch them, they seem to be getting better every week. I think that's been consistent throughout the season. I think Timmy Chang and his staff are doing a great job, in the transition there. I think that's I've been through that. I know what that feels like. And so I have a ton of respect for Timmy and what those guys are trying to do. And when you see what they're doing on offense, they're combining a lot of really sophisticated, big play pass game with an outstanding running attack. Parson we think is the best back we've seen this year. They got a veteran offensive line. They're big. They're very, very good. Going to be a real challenge for our D line. And then defensively, like very, very active, fly to the football, creative with what they do schematically, and good players on the field. Hawaii's always been a really high effort football team, and you can see that happening with Coach Chang and the staff there. So ton of respect for these guys. We had a good day of practice today, and now we're just getting back to work trying to attack our process.
All right. Questions for Coach? And if you have a question, just wave your hand. All right. We'll start with Matt.
So, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, it's a big week because of Hawaii. What has it been like, the journey that Chev has taken since that last conversation you had on that bench when you were recruiting him, when you went out there?
I think this has been a good thing for Chevin. And I think there's a lot to that question, Matt, and it's probably a better question for Chevin. But in terms of what he has been for us and my relationship with him and his relationship with our team, they love him. We love him, and he's having a great experience here, being a part of our program and our family. And I think that's really, really cool. And I think as we've tried to build this program out over time, we've wanted it to be a program and a destination where people want to be a part of it. And Chevin has felt that since he's been here. I think all of our transfers have, and they're all finding ways to contribute in a meaningful way, but obviously none quite as significant as Chev. He's an awesome competitor, incredibly tough. He loves to play. All the Hawaii guys know that about him. And so we feel very fortunate that he's with us, and I'm glad it worked out this way.
All right, Steven.
Did you have to tailor much of the offense for his skills, or and then also coming into this week, does it make does the advantage go to players who have played against Chevin, or Chevin having played against them?
We didn't have to tweak the scheme. I think to a certain extent you tweak your scheme every week. You tweak it every season, depending on the personnel that you have. There's always a little bit of that, but I think Coach McGivern's done a fantastic job here. We've had all conference quarterbacks, we've had all conference receivers, we've had all conference tight ends. I think, that part of it is really sound. And so I really believe in Kevin McGivern and what he's doing with our scheme and with Chevin, with a bunch of new parts that we kind of put in there together. So, with this season. So in the turnover, we're definitely young in a bunch of spots, and I think they've done a great job with that. I don't know. I would think maybe because they have a lot more people that have played with him versus just one guy that played with them, I would think maybe it's an advantage for Hawaii. But I don't know. Be interested to see what their players think.
Vic?
Yeah, Brent, you mentioned like going back to the drawing board with fundamentals, as far as what are your thoughts on, those fixes or adjustments or corrections you had mentioned, I think the last week or two.
Yeah, that's been kind of the focus of this week, and really the focus of the last two is just like really drill down on the details. All the games are hard fought in the month of November, and just the margin for error is so small, and so you have to be totally into the detail part of the game, whatever that is, by position or by your job or your role, right? Like it's very, very specific depending on what you do for our football team. And so everybody has a little bit different focus for them. And, I think we've really done a nice job of attacking the last 2 days of practice. And that's encouraging to me, because that shows me that there's real intention for us to play good football on Saturday and to, put our best stuff out there against a good football team in our seniors' last day in CEFCU.
Alan?
Alan Hoshida here with KHON in Hawaii. Just go back to Chevin again. I know that's probably what focus for us Hawaii guys. Just being in his shoes, what do you think he's going through this week? And what do you say, if anything, about you don't have to win the game here? You don't have to be a hero just because you're going against your own old team.
Chevin's played so much football. He's such a mature kid. I think that part of it is pretty easy. He knows what he needs to do to play good football. So I don't think there's so much like coaching or kind of, discussing some of that stuff. And then what was the other part of your question?
Just, if you're in his shoes, what do you think this week is like for him?
I imagine it's challenging, right? I imagine it's really challenging. Obviously that program, those people, that's his home. Like those are all really special things to Chevin. Right? He loves those guys, and he loved that program, and he loves Hawaii, right? His family's still there. I mean, so that part of it I think is probably a little bit tricky for him. And I think he's also not the first player to leave Hawaii to they all end up moving back there because it's such an amazing place to live. But, he's not the first athlete to leave the state of Hawaii just to try something new and just have a little bit different experience.
Kyle?
Hey, Coach, this is Kyle from Hawaii News Now here in Honolulu. Another aspect of this game, you guys are also playing for the Dick Tomey Legacy Trophy. Just talk about the significance and the importance for you and the team to keep that trophy in San Jose. And also part two would just, share some, maybe a fond memory or something that will stick with you as far as, your relationship with Coach Tomey.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, Coach Tomey was just a really, really special guy to us. Obviously had one of those unique people, right, that just kind of had this tremendous impact everywhere he went, right? Whether that was in Hawaii when he was coaching there, or when he was at Arizona when he was coaching there, or when he was at San Jose State. My path crossed with him. I played against his teams when I was a player, although I didn't play very much because I wasn't very good. But, just his teams were always so tough and played so hard. And he was an incredibly impactful influence on me and how I coach and what I think is important. And it's all about the people, and it's all about the family or the ohana or the familia or whatever that is at your place. But that's a special thing, and that's how we're built here. And I owe that all to Coach Tomey. And I have lots of funny stories about Coach Tomey. I'm not even sure where I should start. When I was a young coach, he cussed me out many, many times. And I'm sure I'm not the only young coach that can relate to that. But when I got hired here, he was someone that I talked to weekly about what was going on and what we were trying to do. And I talked to him a lot those first few years when we were really struggling. And he was just, he always had a good ear for me. He would always listen. He'd always talk me through a challenge or a situation. Actually, I'll tell you one good story I'm just thinking about because it involves Hawaii. So we're playing Hawaii. My first year is 2017. Rollo's the head coach, and it's a tight game. And, we're struggling, and Rollo's a year ahead of me in the building process. And we return a kickoff for a touchdown. And on our way down, two of our players like high five the whole way. And then they do some ridiculous choreographed stunt in the end zone. And like every official threw every flag on the field. There was no more flags left. And so it backed us up. And so it made the PAT longer. Right. And so we had just made it a 2-point game. They backed up with the touchdown. They backed up the PAT, and the PAT was blocked and returned for 2. So now it's a 4-point game. It's late in the fourth quarter. So, now we just made it a, 1 possession field goal game. So now we just made it we have to score a touchdown. And we ended up losing. And so, and we had a lot of penalties on that day. And so after the game, I was waiting to talk to the media, and I was standing at the tunnel in Aloha Stadium. And I saw Coach Tomey walking at me, and he was like walking down the middle, like the football field. He's like probably 50 yards away. And when you were in trouble with Coach Tomey, he had this like walk and this lean and this like just stare, and he's staring at me. And I'm like, and so I know what's coming because of the penalty. And so I started to retreat up the tunnel because I didn't want the media to hear, what Coach Tomey was going to say to me. And so I backed up, got up the tunnel, got back in the tunnel, and he says, what was that? What is that? Like, how little discipline does your team have? And I'm like, I know. And as a young first-time head coach, I think I started to blame the officials or something that is like so stupid. And he said, BS, that's on you. And I said, okay. And I said, Coach, I need to go talk to my team. And he said, you need to go talk to your team. And the first thing you need to do is apologize, because you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And tonight you allowed that to happen. And that's on you. I wanted to cry. Like, I literally wanted to cry, and I still had to talk to the team and the media. It was brutal. But he's one of my favorite people in the world. I think it's rare in your lifetime when a person that you come across is someone that you think about every day. But I do think about him every day because of what I do and the role I have here at San Jose State and just what he was for me. So I love Dick Tomey. I miss him. And I'm very, very grateful for the influence and the impact he had on my life, on my family's life, on just so many, thousands of, men all over the world.
Matt?
Going off that, how much did that experience shift or maybe shape who you are as a coach, just being in the tunnel, being ready to cry? I mean, that sounds like a pretty moment that kind of forms you.
Oh, I've had lots of moments where I actually did cry on this job for a multitude of reasons. But, I think what it did for me is it just reminded me that at the end of the day, being the head coach, it's all under my umbrella. If whatever doesn't work or doesn't, it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to get us ready to play, or to make sure that we have enough calls, or to make sure that we are disciplined enough or conditioned enough or, strong enough. It's always that. And that was a great reminder of that for me from the legendary Dick Tomey.
Steven?
Coach, it's just been a really rough year. You lost Lawrence, you lost Camden. How have you team been able to balance the healing part but still trying to focus on football?
Yeah, we also lost a former player a couple years out named Dijon Packer. So it has been really, really hard. And I think the team has done an incredible job. This group of young men is a really special group to me. They have been through all of it. They have been in the lowest of the low and the highest of the highs and everything in between. They've stuck with me. They haven't quit on each other. And they've helped us, build a program that is, has a chance to go to, 2 bowl games in 3 years for the first time since 1987. That's a big thing for us. And so I love this group of young men. And I think the hard stuff that we've been through, I think we've done the best job we can working through that, and and honoring those people the right way. But then also making sure that one of the ways that we honored them and respected who they were and what they did and what they were a part of here is that, is that we went to work and that we handle our business. And so but you're right. There has been a lot, and it's just a great reminder for all of us that life is short and it's precious, and the moments you get day to day, sitting in the team room or in a meeting or practicing on the field or playing in a college football game, those are special, and they're not guaranteed.
All right, looks like final question, Vic.
Yeah, Brent, from day one, the poly culture, the essence of the poly culture is you've kind of instilled that through the program. I don't know if a lot of people know that the brotherhood, the family is very reminiscent of the vibe you even feel from Hawaii. I mean, can you comment on that in terms of family, brotherhood, and what you've kind of even take from that culture?
Well, I mean, we just talked about Coach Tomey, and he's a big part of that, and then also when I first started coaching, I coached at Woodside High School, right up here, about 30 minutes from here. And we had a lot of Polynesian kids on the team. And so, a lot of these kids back then, I had to drive them home from practice or pick them up for practice or weights or whatever. And so I really got kind of pulled into those families and pulled into that community. And I think there's a really unique part of that world that puts such a high value on family and brotherhood and community that I really respect. And, when we were here before at San Jose State, that was a big part of us. And when I came back, it wasn't. And so it was something that we immediately started to build. And because obviously there's a lot of really good Polynesian football players. We all know that. But what I was looking for is as much for the good football as I was really looking for the culture we were trying to build here that was inclusive and about family and about loving your brother and about working together and staying together. And I knew that, players from that community were really, really going to nurture that and really going to lean into that. And so, that's been since day one. That was a big part of our thought process, and it has been tremendously impactful into us getting San Jose State football in a decent spot.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.